Hey folks, Lenny Lawson here, the Car Guru. And I was surprised yesterday. We got in one of the new 2025 Ford Expeditions. Now I know this is late. I remember when the new models would start coming in August, and by September we had pretty much a full load of them. And here we are, it is April, I think, and we just got a couple Expeditions in. Both of those were sold. So I went back and looked at it, and it is definitely polarizing. You know what really throws me off is the square steering wheel. Well, let's call it squarish. The corners are rounded off, but it's square, and it's smaller, and it's weird. You know, it's something that the young people like. I took it over to show it to my wife. She has an Expedition, 2024 model, and she sat in it and then just kind of looked at me with a startled look on her face. Why is the steering wheel square? She doesn't really sound like that, but that's my best female impersonation at this point. But she liked everything else. Tons of storage. It's got a little mouse pad, like trackpad for your thumbs on the square steering wheel. That's kind of strange. The dash, you know, it could double as a greenhouse where you could grow, I don't know, flowers, tomatoes. I don't know what all the dirt and watering and everything would do. Probably not good, but there's enough space there to make it look like a mini greenhouse, kind of like the old Lumina APV minivan, except not quite that big. But it's a big space. Another cool thing is they decided rather than have just this one big hatch, well, you know, they would have the glass would open up, which it still does, just the rear glass. The complete hatch would open up. Well, now about 3/4 of the hatch opens up, and then there's this tailgate that folds down. Now, I kind of like that. I like it because, you know, sometimes a tailgate is a cool place to sit and just shoot the bull or fish. If you could back up close enough to the little pond, you could fish off of it. So I kind of like that. It's worth a look. I mean, if you're interested in a full-size SUV, like maybe you're a Suburban person or a Tahoe person, then you might want to come look at the Expedition because it's out there. Okay, let's segue a little bit into tariffs. This past weekend at Gateway Ford and Gateway Nissan, my dealerships in Greenville, it was hectic. There's a lot of people coming in. We had a huge sales day on Saturday, and most of the people were expressing concern about the tariffs and what the impact's going to be. So a lot of manufacturers are predicting, well, automotive executives and analysts are predicting dramatically higher new vehicle prices, lower profits for the companies, as if you cared, and disruptions in new vehicle production. This is kind of a big deal. We sell a lot of Mavericks, the little Ford truck, made in Mexico. And so we're trying to buy as many as we can buy on the market from dealers around the country that maybe they're not selling them very well. We got a list of 15 Mavericks that this one dealer is wanting to sell. The only problem is they're all 2024 models. I don't feel real good about buying a bunch of 2024 models right now. But they are Mavericks. So, I don't know. We're thinking about it. And also, there's a dealer that's wanting to sell 11 Ford Escapes. All of them are all-wheel drive, which is good. Now, those are 2025 models. But apparently, these dealers have too much inventory. So there are these companies that all they do is help dealers move inventory from one dealer to the other. They're called locators. And I get emails all the time from these locator services wanting to move inventory. So I'm looking at them and trying to decide, well, you know, this is pre-tariff inventory, so that's not a bad thing. But do I really need 11 Escapes? You know, probably not. I could probably use 6 more. We've got 8 on the ground, and, you know, 6 more wouldn't hurt us. So what is the goal here? Well, according to the administration, this is a quote: "We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for American consumers." Well, all that sounds good. Certainly has created a lot of panic. Stock market. My Apple stock has gone way down. My Berkshire B has gone way down. And so a little bit concerned about some of the index funds as well. But I'm just going to hold and sit tight. Listen, consumers are going to be feeling the pain, according to these analysts, much faster than they will see new jobs through any investment the tariffs may encourage. That is according to some analyst from S&P Global Mobility. Here's why you might want to come on in and buy something. They are anticipating price increases from $2,500 to $4,500 on most lower-cost American vehicles. That's big. That's a big increase in monthly payments, isn't it? And, some of that could be used for vacations this summer. Anyway, imported models from Europe and Asia could be subject to price increases, oh my goodness, of $20,000, according to an estimate by the Anderson Economic Group. So imports account for about 45% of U.S. new vehicle sales in 2024. Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Canada, and Germany are the biggest suppliers. Now, the list of auto parts that will be subject to a 25% tariff include engines, transmissions, and various safety components. Now, if those components are made in Canada or Mexico and comply with the former USMCA agreement, that's the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. That's what that acronym stands for. They will not have duties until the U.S. comes up with some type of a mechanism to figure how to apply the levy on their non-American content. So let's say you got an engine, and the pistons in the engine were made in Mexico, and the crankshaft and the camshafts were made in Canada, but the block was made and the heads were made in the United States. That's a complicated mess. So they're giving themselves some time to figure out how to handle that. Now, Stellantis, which used to be the Chrysler Corporation, until they got bought out by Peugeot and that group, temporarily laid off 1,000 workers in the United States. They're pausing production at some plants in Canada and Mexico because of the tariffs. The affected U.S. workers are employed at 5 plants in Michigan and Indiana. That's not supposed to happen, is it? Yes, it is. Because if they stop sending the parts to the United States, then what are those workers supposed to do? Just stand around and smoke and vape and talk politics? Stellantis said that their plant in Windsor, Ontario, which builds the Chrysler Pacifica and the Voyager minivans and the electric Dodge Charger Daytona. I doubt if there's people lined up to get it anyway, but they're going to shut down for 2 weeks starting April the 7th, and then their assembly plant in Toluca, Mexico, which produces the Jeep Compass and the new electric Jeep Wagoneer, will be down from April 7th through the end of the month. So Infiniti is also cutting production. In their Mexican plants, because of the tariff, Audi, remember them? They are holding all vehicles assembled in Mexico and overseas and delivered to the U.S. ports after April 2nd. Volkswagen has halted all rail shipments of vehicles built in Mexico. And let's see, what does VW build down there? Oh, yeah, the Jetta. The Taos is a subcompact crossover, and the Tiguan. So, needless to say, the tariffs are causing a lot of heartburn for a lot of people, not the least of which are consumers who are anxious. Now, Ford has done a good thing. They're offering employee pricing on everything, and that is a really good deal. That's like $2,000 on average less than I pay for vehicles. So we get paid a flat fee by Ford when we sell one. So that's a great deal for Ford consumers, and that's on cars that don't have tariffs on them yet. So they're just trying to bump up volume as much as possible, just in anticipation of slower sales down the road. So who knows? Okay, I'm going to take my first break. I'll be back here in just a minute. I tell you what, I was going down the road the other day. It was, Saturday. And I wanted to do a Gomer Pyle citizen's arrest on this guy, cruising down the road in a pickup truck, like a Toyota Tacoma, had a trailer on it and a lawnmower. Pretty good size, like a small tractor lawnmower, not a zero turn. And I just looked. I tend to do this. It was not strapped down in any way. And so what happens if he has to slam on his brakes really hard, or if he hits somebody? That lawnmower becomes a very heavy projectile that could either end up in the bed of his truck, in the back of his head, or, it could hurt somebody else. Strap down your stuff, please. This is just irresponsible, and it needs to stop. Just like all the ducks on everybody's Jeep dash. That needs to stop as well. Just kidding. There's no danger of flying plastic ducks hurting anybody. So I had a podcast listener in California ask me or sent me a text message. Hey, Lenny, tell me how to improve the fuel economy on my vehicle. And I asked them what they were driving, and they said they were driving a Toyota Camry. I said, does it have a sunroof? They said yes. I said, keep it closed. And also, don't use air conditioning. I'm just kidding. I know it's hot in California. No, the best thing to do is to use the air conditioning and keep the windows rolled up, not rolled down. Also, check the air pressure in your tires. Make sure that they're at the max that it says on the door jamb, not what it says on the side of the tire. Use the recommended fuel for your vehicle. Don't put premium thinking it's going to help you get better gas mileage, because it won't. Premium gas is only for vehicles that require premium fuel, and that would be in a vehicle that has a really high compression engine, like a Lexus or a BMW or a Porsche, something like that. Your Toyota Camry just loves 87 octane. I don't know what they're running out in California. I know gas is a lot more expensive out there. It's probably why he was sending me the message. He lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. And then what about a tune-up? I asked him how many miles he had on it. Over 100,000. Has that ever had a tune-up? I don't know. Well, then you probably need to replace your spark plugs. And don't forget the air filter in the vehicle, because the air filter restricts the flow or controls the flow of air into your engine. If it's clogged up, then it causes your vehicle to run rich, which uses more fuel. And then the final thing, slow down. Don't do rabbit starts. Slow acceleration wins the race. Just ask the tortoise. Okay, and speaking of internet fraud, wait a minute, were we speaking of internet fraud? Probably not, but I'm going to speak about internet fraud. And it has to do with new car dealers and the way they advertise. So you got to be really careful. Had a customer brought in they did a screenshot of a Nissan. And one of our competitors had I think it was a $8,000 discount on a vehicle. And so we had to do a little coaching. Sometimes when you go to a dealership, you've already shopped at one, you go to another one, you've got what their offer is in your hand, and then you may not really trust the defensive position that the dealer takes, because he's a competitor. And is he going to say anything to get your business? Well, some of them will. We try to use logic. So what we do is we go to the competitor's website. We find that exact same vehicle. They said, is this the one you were looking at? Well, yes, it was. Well, what you failed to do, there's no reason you should think that you have to do this, but you didn't scroll down. See, what's this? So we scroll all the way down to the bottom to where their disclaimer is. That's the fine print of their offer, which taketh away the discount, most of it, because there were $5,000 worth of ads, including I can't remember how much the doc fee was. It was close to $1,000. And then something called marketing margin, $32.95. What's that? Well, that's so that we can show these really big discounts and show really big trade allowances. Because if we mark up our vehicles $3,000 extra for nothing, then we can show that as a discount and you feel all good, even though it's total malarkey. I probably shouldn't use terms like malarkey. I don't know how many young people know what malarkey. I'm not even sure I know what malarkey means. What is malarkey? I'm going to look it up. Okay, let's see. Google malarkey. M-A-R-L-A-R-K-Y or K-E-Y. It is an informal noun. It means nonsense or rubbish, often used to describe speech or writing that is misleading or meaningless. There you go. That's it. Where did it come from? It originated in the 1920s and is commonly used in informal contexts. There you go. So that's what that advertising is. It's malarkey. But you have no idea how many people fall into that trap because they think it's real, because they're trusting, right? I mean, they see a $7,000 discount and another dealer has a $3,000 discount. Where are you going to go? You're probably going to go to the one that has the biggest discount, right? Unless you listen to this radio show and understand how to dissect a price. You know, I've got no problem with an addendum sticker. So if you've got a window sticker from the factory, the MSRP, and it says $38,000, and then there's another little sticker there, and it's there because they put on a luggage rack. They added, deep tinted windows, which so many people like. They might have even put on running boards or something like that. Those are what we call hard, H-A-R-D, ads, A-D-D-S. Those are things that you can touch and feel and appreciate. Now, they may be overpriced, but at least it's something there. It's tangible. I mean, those kind of add-ons are okay, aren't they? But marketing margin? You know, if I saw that on a dealer's window sticker, I'd just leave. I mean, if it's that bad, if they think I am so ignorant that kind of thing is okay, then why do I even want to darken their door? It makes no sense to me. So, if you're looking at a car and you see that, then you've got a decision to make. You can proceed. The salesperson, what they'll typically say, if they see that you're disturbed by that, they say, oh, don't worry about that. Well, we'll get that knocked off. Right. I guarantee when they print the paperwork and try to get you to sign it, that will be on it. That will be part of the initial price. And they'll say that they're discounting it or that they're giving you more for your trade because of it. But that is also malarkey. So I always lament that there's the people that need to listen to this program don't, because they don't even know how, their car doesn't even have an AM radio, and then they don't listen to podcasts either. And so they just fall right into it. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to speak to high schools and try to catch them before they do fall victim to this, because, it really eats up a lot of money. I mean, it's stealing. It's borderline. It's unethical for sure, some of these behaviors. Much of it is illegal if it involves payment packing, but there's nobody enforcing those laws. So I go to these schools and I talk to, the next week it's a technical school here in Greene County, and I'm speaking to a bunch of kids from multiple classrooms that want to learn about job opportunities. And I talk about personal financial responsibility as well, and how to get off on the right foot and stay there, and not fall into the consumer traps that are out there, most of which are in the car business. I mean, I think about all of the solicitations that we get through the email and, people trying to steal our money from our bank accounts and put mortgages on our houses. There's all kinds of ways to get ripped off. And there are certain protections that you can put in place, like LifeLock. I signed up with LifeLock after a good customer friend of mine got ripped off. Somebody went to a dealership just outside of Washington, D.C., and bought a Toyota Tundra and what was the other Toyota? Highlander, I think. Bought two vehicles in his name using his credit, and he was contacted by Toyota Motor Credit and say, hey, you're 60 days late on your payments on these two vehicles you bought. He said, I didn't buy any vehicles. Good thing is he had LifeLock, and they stepped in, and it took a while. I mean, it took a while to get the situation squared away, but LifeLock would have completely reimbursed him for any losses that he suffered, and also took over the process of getting it fixed, which is a great thing. So that's one of the reasons I go to these schools and try to enlighten these kids, because they're not getting it at home or from their friends on TikTok. Okay, I'll be back in just a minute. So TikTok, the clock is ticking. The tariffs are coming. And so you might want to get ahead of it if you're in the market, maybe sometime in the next 90 days, or I don't know, maybe sometime in the next year, you're thinking about buying a vehicle. I don't think these tariffs are going to go away. The Donald looks serious when he talks about these. And so we just have to adapt. The auto companies, they're saying $2,500 or $3,000 to $4,500 on a pretty basic vehicle. Price is going up that much. That's serious. But if you have any questions about any of this stuff, you want some detailed, personalized information, here's my cell phone number, 423-552-2020. My email address is lennylawson2020@gmail.com. Why do I use Gmail? Because it works. It's reliable. I had a My Car Guru email address, and it wasn't reliable and didn't work. So use what works. Give me a call. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.